Friends, today we realize that corporate governance is not merely a buzzword. Corporate governance is much more than merely being a phrase. As much as today, not only in India but globally, everybody is talking in terms of ESG, environment, society, and governance. And corporate governance is a very important part of ESG. As much as today we are talking in terms of sustainability reporting. Today we are talking in terms of mutual funds which are focused on ESG, mutual funds which are focused on corporate governance, not only in India but outside India and globally. And therefore, for we professionals, chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyers, whether in employment or in practice, doesn't really matter. It becomes an absolute imperative for every one of us to be aware as to what is the universe of corporate governance in this country. Of course, we need to know it globally, but to begin with, we need to know as to what is the universe of corporate governance in this country. And that is what I am going to share with you as to what is the corporate governance universe in India. Now, after I share as to what is the universe of corporate governance in India, I am also going to share with you a good news. What that good news is, I will share with you once I have shared with you as to what is the universe of corporate governance in this country. When you talk about corporate governance in this country, the universe of corporate governance in this country, we can look at it from 9 different angles. And what those 9 different angles are, angle number 1 is appointment and qualification of directors. Now remember, so this corporate governance, this universe of corporate governance has to be looked at from all angles, and therefore when it comes to appointment and qualification of directors, we have to study and focus on chapter 11 of the Companies Act, covering the section 149 to 172. Is that all? Of course not. We also need to look at regulation 17 of LODR 2015 so as to complete the entire canvas of appointment and qualification of the directors. The number 2 is meetings of board and its powers. So when it comes to the requirement or the corporate governance compliance with regard to the meetings of the board and its powers, we would need to look at chapter 12 and section 173 to section 195. Not only that, we also need to look at regulation 17 again of LODR 2015 so as to ensure that we are fully compliant with the requirements of the corporate governance as far as the meetings of the board of directors of a company are concerned. Point number 3 is audit committee. And when it comes to audit committee, what we need to understand, we need to be aware of the provisions of section 177 of the Companies Act. Not only we need to be aware of the provisions of section 177 of the Companies Act, we also need to be aware of regulation 18 of LODR 2015. Point number 4 for the corporate governance is independent director. All of us are aware of the significance and importance of independent director and the positive role that they can play or they are expected to play in ensuring good corporate governance in this country. As regards the independent director, we need to be aware of the provisions of section 149 and section 150 of the Companies Act. Not only that, we also need to be aware of regulation 25 of LODR so as to ensure that the company that I am working for or the company that I am advising to is fully compliant with regard to the provisions of independent director. Point number 5 is code of independent director. So remember, independent directors of course have a very important role to play in fulfilling the requirements of good corporate governance in this country, and that is the reason why globally all the countries have got the provision of independent director as part of their corporate governance domain. In schedule 5, so as regards if you are an independent director, if you are advising to an independent director, or if you have independent directors on the board of your company, these independent directors have a specific role spelled out in schedule 4 of the Companies Act, and that is what we need to be aware, so that we are able to, in case you get a role on the board of a company as an independent director, you got to be aware of the provisions of schedule 4 of the Companies Act. If you have people who are on the board of the company, of your company where you are employed, again these independent directors will need to be made aware of the obligations that they have as per schedule 4 of the Companies Act. And likewise, in case if you are a practicing chartered accountant, cost accountant, or company secretaries, or a lawyer, then again you would need to advise your people as to what are the obligations which an independent director has to fulfill as per the provisions of schedule 4 of the Companies Act. Point number 6 relates to the related party transactions, and friends, I am sure all of us are aware that major things that can go wrong in any business organization can happen through the process of passing business through the related party transactions. And therefore, as a practicing professional or working professional, we need to be fully aware of all the provisions as regards to the related party transactions. Now, which are the things that we need to be aware of for being compliant with regard to the requirements of related party transactions? Number 1, we need to be aware of section 188 of the Companies Act. So we need to be aware of the provisions of section 188 of the Companies Act. Then we need to be fully well versed with regulation 23 under the LODR, and it does not stop at that. We also need to be aware of Indian Accounting Standards 24, Ind-AS 24. So Ind-AS 24 also has got the accounting standards which spell out as to what are the things that need to be taken care of by a company or by the auditors as far as the related party transactions are concerned. So as regards to the related party transactions, what we need to be well versed with, what do we need to be aware of? Number 1, section 188 of the Companies Act. Number 2, regulation 23 of the LODR, and number 3, we need to be aware of Ind-AS 24. Please remember, it does not stop here. It further goes beyond it. And where does it go? In case if you happen to be working or advising a company that has gone under IBC, right? That has gone under IBC. Then under IBC 2016, there are certain requirements and obligations that would need to be taken care of as far as the related party transactions are concerned. So in case if you are working with the company which has gone to IBC, or you are advising a company which has gone to IBC under IBC, or if you happen to be IRP or RP, then you also need to be aware of section 5 subsection 24 and 24A of the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, so as to be fully compliant with the provisions relating to related party transactions. Then point number 7, as far as the universe of corporate governance is concerned in this country, relates to role and power of auditors. I do not have to elaborate as to how significant is the role of the auditors for any organization as far as the corporate governance is concerned. And please remember, when I say auditor, it does not mean only the statutory auditor of the company. It also includes the company secretary who is in practice, or who is doing the secretarial audit of a company, or a cost accountant who is working as a cost auditor doing cost audit of a company. So as regards to the role and power of auditors, we need to be aware of the provisions of section 143 of the Companies Act, so as to fulfill our obligations as a working professional or as a practicing professional as far as the corporate governance is concerned. Point number 8 is accounting standards. Now we all are aware that in our country we have the Indian accounting standards have already become mandatory for all the companies which are listed on the stock market anywhere in the world, not only in India, anywhere in the world. So if a company is listed on a stock exchange, whether the debt or equity in India or outside India, index has become imperative, index has become mandatory for such companies. Not only that, any company whose net worth is more than 250 crore, index has become also mandatory for all such companies. And therefore, as far as the corporate governance is concerned, for covering the entire universe of the corporate governance, we also need to be fully aware and well versed with the Indian accounting standards. The entire canvas of the Indian accounting standards, that would include 39 different accounting standards, and that is what we need to be aware of. So not only we need to be aware of the Indian accounting standards, 39 of them as far as the index is concerned, but the companies to which index is not applicable, the Indian GAAP is applicable. So we would also need to be aware of Indian GAAP as regards to the company to which indices have still not become mandatory. And the point number 9, last but not the least, to cover the entire universe of corporate governance in this country, we will also need to be fully well versed with the provisions of section 135 of the Companies Act, and that is on corporate social responsibility. So friends, these are the 9 different areas to cover the entire corporate governance canvas universe in this country that we need to be fully aware of. Now the good news that I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation here is, over next few weeks I am going to cover this entire universe of corporate governance as applicable in India to we all chartered accountants, cost accountants, company secretaries, lawyer, whether in employment or in practice, doesn't really matter. So remain tuned to my YouTube channel. From time to time, I am going to cover all these, or this entire universe of the corporate governance that I have just spelled out to every one of you. I am going to cover each one of them one by one, and you would find all these videos coming on my YouTube channel one by one. So do subscribe to my YouTube channel so as to get benefit of all these videos. And remember, my YouTube channel already has more than 900 videos covering a wide range of topics, including finance, finance for non-finance, advanced financial management, derivatives, valuation, insolvency, work-life balance, leadership, and life management. So do subscribe to my channel. Not only do subscribe to my channel, but also share these videos with everyone whom you think will benefit from these videos. So let me repeat once again the 9 points that we are going to cover. The 9 points of the corporate governance universe in this country. Number 1 is the appointment and qualification of director. Number 2, meetings of board members and its directors. Number 3, audit committee. Number 4, independent directors. Number 5, code of independent directors, or code for independent directors, code of conduct for independent directors. Number 6, related party transactions. Number 7, role and powers of auditors under section 143 of the Companies Act. Number 8, accounting standards. And last but not the least, number 9, corporate social responsibility. Thank you so much, and see you sometime in my next video. In the meantime, in case if you have any question, any doubt, or any suggestion that you would like to pass on to me, please do write to me on my mail ID pramod7jain@gmail.com, or you can send me a WhatsApp message on my number 9766034562, or you can, while viewing these videos, type a message and which would definitely reach to me. Thank you so much. Thank you.